Hello everyone, my name is Daniel. I hope you're all well. Today I'll be speaking to you about why I go to university, and I thought I'll start off by telling you a little bit about myself. If you have any questions, please ask in the chat box and I'll be able to answer them for you. It doesn't have to be specific to this presentation. It can be anything about university in general, and I'll be happy to help. So a little bit about myself. So I'm currently studying at Nottingham Trent University. I'm in my final year and I'm studying business management. But before I went to study business, I studied ICT. And in my first year, ICT is not something I'm very passionate about. And I thought I'd pick the subject area because it will lead me into a good career. But throughout that year, I'd realized that if you're studying something for 3 years, you really need to be passionate about it. And it really, because you're devoting so much time to your degree, you have to be passionate about it. And I made a mistake of choosing the wrong subject area and not really reading into the degree before I even applied. And it might sound silly, but so many people make the same mistake. I don't regret it because later on I found a subject area I'm now passionate about. And during that year, I learned so much. Studying IT, which was transferable to business, but also I learned that studying a degree, you need to be passionate about it because you're not going to enjoy your time at university if you're studying something that you're not going to want to put your all into. So I made a brave decision to transfer course, and now I'm studying business management. I'm in my final year, and that must say a lot. I'm loving it. Yeah, I'm loving studying business, and I knew I'd always be passionate about business because of my employment history. I've always been so interested about how organizations work, how they compete in their industry, and being able to study more in depth into that area is amazing. And I've learned so much in my time at university. So alongside this, I've done a placement year. I've done 2 years. For my first year, I worked for the University of Hertfordshire as I worked in the marketing and communications department, and I worked on a rotational role. So I got a good understanding of how a university markets themselves and how effective they are within their sector. And honestly, I wasn't too sure what higher education would be about. I've never really looked into higher education and about a career in that industry. But honestly, like I've learned so much about universities, about the higher education sector. And yeah, I've learned so much in that time. And I always say, if people can do a placement year, so a placement year is when you take time out of your studies and work, you do like a work placement, a work experience. And I always say to people, if you have the opportunity to do a work placement, you should go and do it. It's the best experience I've ever had. I've learned so much. I've learned so many skills, and the skills that I've gained from working, I've been able to use it within my degree. And also I've got work experience ahead of some people that might not have done a placement. So even before I've graduated, I've got 2 years of work experience under my belt in comparison to someone that has done a placement. So they have no work experience really through their degree. So I always say, if you have the opportunity, go for it. So now I'm currently working as a wide-end access officer. I've been in the role for around a month and I'm enjoying it. And I'm looking forward to what the career has in store for me as well. So what is studying at university like? So studying at university is very enjoyable. As I said before, hopefully you're studying something you're very passionate about. And I can't stress the importance of this. You're going to be there for 3-4 years, depending on how long your degree is. But you have to make sure you're studying something that you're very enjoyable, that you enjoy. That's because at university, studying is very independent. So you do get lectures delivered to you and seminars, but they do give you that time to research more by yourself. But that's not to say that people don't help you at university. Like the lecturers that I've had at university, they've been so supportive. And I only came to realize that around my second year. And I really wish I knew earlier that lecturers want to help you and they're so easy to contact. You can just drop them an email or go speak to them after a lecture or seminar and they'll be happy to help you. But it's so enjoyable. Like I really loved being able to research more into business because I knew that I was going to enjoy studying that subject area. And it's very flexible in comparison to sixth form or college, where I thought when I was in sixth form, it was very structured. You had to do this in order to fulfill the criteria in essence. But university is much more flexible. So you get an option to choose optional modules. And this is where you're able to choose subjects where you want to learn a bit more in. And I think that's an amazing opportunity because if you're studying something, you want to enjoy what you're studying, and you're lucky enough to do so through the choice of optional modules. Also at university, you might come across that you have much less contact hours in comparison to school, college. In the next slide, I'll be able to talk you through my first year at university. and it was much less than I had to sixth form college. And I really enjoyed that because I like to learn by myself. I like to do my own research and learn for myself. And I feel like it's much more rewarding because you're putting that hard work and effort into learning more in your subject area as well. And of course, you have the possibility of living alone. So for me, that was one of the biggest things of university. So I moved away. I went to Nottingham, and that was probably the first time I've ever moved away from my family home. And living by yourself is an experience. Like being able to, for instance, cooking every day. That's not something I never had to do before. Cooking every day, managing my money, ensuring I had enough money to pay for my rent. It's all skills you learn from university. And I always say, if you want to move away for university, go for it. So many people do so. And if you want to stay at home for university, you can also do that as well. There's so many people that travel from their house to go to university. But from my experience, I've loved being able to live alone. And I've learned so much about myself. And I feel like the maturity that I've had from living alone is something that I was always look back at and think, yeah, I was able to do that by myself. And through that experience, I got to meet people from all around the world and also from areas of the UK that I might not have visited. And I felt I'd never really been able to meet people from abroad before because in my local area, I didn't have the opportunity. But at university, I got to make so many new friends that I might not have had the opportunity to do if I'd stayed at home. And I got to learn about so many other cultures and also learn about how people live all around the UK. And at university, there's always something to do. There are so many social activities, whether that be sports club you want to partake in, social nights. Every day there is something for you to do at university. So believe me, when you go to university, you will never get bored. So what is studying at university like? So at university, you will find that it's very different to sixth form or college. The delivery method is varied from course to course and from university to university. So as you can see on this slide, there are many different delivery methods at university. So for my course, I primarily had lectures and seminars, but depending on what you study and where you study, you might have field trips, you might have work placements, study abroad, independent study. And that really depends on how you want to study and where you go to university. Each university is very different on how they deliver their material. So if you study, let's say, business at one university, it might be different to the way another university deliver. So for me, I have a lot of seminars in comparison to lectures, and lectures it's like a big hall of people. So it's like 300 to 400 people in one room, and you'll get that delivered to you. But I also have seminars, which is like a classroom. So it's very similar to what you get in sixth form college, and that's my preference. So therefore, I made sure my course was seminar orientated, and so I can get the most out of my degree. But also, if you're studying a course like geography, you're going to have a lot of field trips because that's just how geography is. So just make sure where you're studying, the course you're studying, is what you want to, is the way you want it to be. So the way you enjoy learning and the way you'll get the most out of it. But just make sure you check on the university website, check the course criteria, because it'll all be of access to you. And you don't want to get to university and be surprised as well. So just make sure you have a good idea of the way you'll be studying before you go to university. So on this slide here, you can see my university week. So I didn't have that many lectures at all. And I quite enjoyed that because, as I said previously, I quite like to study independently. So in my first year, I only had around 10 hours of lectures, which is not a lot. On average, there was around 16 hours of lectures at university, 16 hours of contact hours, and I only had 10. And primarily, I had seminars in comparison to lectures. So I only had 2 lectures a week and the rest were seminars. So as I said before, lectures, you might have seen on TV, a big hall of people, might be around 300 to 400 people, and you have someone standing at the front delivering the lecture material to you. And then in seminars, it's more like a classroom. So more like you're used to in sixth form or college. So it might be around 30 people. And I quite enjoy that because it gave me that time to actually speak to the lecturer, maybe ask more questions as well, because it's small classroom sizes and you've got more interaction with the lecturers. And that's just the way I preferred. So as I said before, just make sure you check with the university, check with the course, and just make sure the delivery method of how you're learning is the way you're expected to be prior to your arrival at university. So what are the benefits of going to university? So we all know the main reason you're going to university is to get your degree, but there are so many other benefits. As we can see on this slide, the benefits are endless. Learning to cook, as I said before, that's one thing I really took from university. Learning a new skill, moving away from home, gaining extra qualifications, earn more money. So at university, you have the option to be able to gain more qualifications, which is of easy access to you. So I did a CMI qualification, which is a widely recognized qualification, and I did that because I wanted to be more skilled when I finished university, and I wanted to gain the most out of the university experience. But as I said before, again, moving away from home as well is something that I really enjoyed, and that's what really changed my university experience, because I've never experienced that before, moving away from home. And yeah, being on my own and making sure I have to manage by myself. But also when you get to university, you're studying something that you really enjoy. And there are over 50,000 degree choices at university. So I'm telling you now, there is going to be something there for you. Whether that be something you're passionate about in school or that you're passionate about outside of school or college, there is something there for you. So if you're passionate about performing arts, you can study dance, you can study acting. If you're passionate about film, you can study film production. If you're passionate about art, you can study art and design. There will be something there for you. Just go on the internet, you can search universities, you can search courses. I'm telling you now, there'll be something there for you and that you would want to study. What other experiences can you take from university? So when I was at university, I worked part-time alongside my degree. I also joined a society and I had the opportunity to explore a new city. So working part-time alongside my degree, in my first year, I didn't want to work because I thought I want to get the most out of my first year and I wanted to get myself into the university life. So therefore, in my second year, I took it upon myself and I applied for a job just so I can get extra money to do things that I really wanted to enjoy. And I worked off campus, but there's also opportunity to get a job on campus. So I worked in a local supermarket. And because I was a student, they did have an understanding that I had other priorities. I had to attend lectures and I had to complete assignments, etc. And they're really understanding of that. And if you just have a conversation with a manager, they'll really understand that you had other commitments because your degree is your priority at the end of it. But also there are on-campus jobs. Universities offer so many jobs on campus that might be helping with open days. And most universities might have a little shop on campus where you can work part-time. And again, they'll be very flexible because they understand that you've got priorities, you've got to complete uni work. So they'll make sure that you can work alongside your degree. Also, you have the opportunity to join a society. So society is basically like a club. So people that come together who have the same passion. There are so many societies that you can join at university, whether that be snow sports, whether that be dance they're interested in. There is a society there for you. And that might be the student union that runs societies, but there is literally a society for everyone. So I joined a dance society and that gave me the opportunity to make friends. Like I made so many friends, not just in my year, but also years above me. And they really helped me out during my university journey. They taught me so much about university, taught me about the local city. And yeah, I feel like I made, through that experience, that's where I made a lot of my friends as well. And also because there was people within that environment that had the same passion as me as well, which I thought was quite nice. And lastly, exploring a new city. So prior to me moving to Nottingham, I've never been to Nottingham before. And it was an experience. I got to learn about Nottingham. I got to meet people from Nottingham, which I might not have had the opportunity if I lived at home. So that's what I really enjoyed as well. And I do see myself going back to Nottingham quite regularly, even when I've graduated. Where can a degree take you? So you might be a little bit unsure of what you want to do after you finish sixth form college. And that is very normal. I did not have an understanding of where I wanted to go at 18 years old, because you're quite young at 18. I'm still quite young as well. But I feel like university's given me that time to actually think and consider where I want to take my career or take my life as well. And through doing my placement as well, it's really given me the opportunity to think, do I like this? Do I like that? And honestly, for a lot of people, they're in the same position as well. But a degree can take you so many places. And I'm so grateful that I've gone to university because I know how valuable a degree is now. And most jobs don't require you to have a specific degree. They just require you to get a certain grade. So that's normally a 2-1 or above. And that can just get your foot into the door for a job. So many employees don't require a certain degree. They just want you to have a degree, because having a degree just shows so much about yourself. Taking part of university, because it's not compulsory, and getting through the years, it shows resilience. It shows good time management, because it's very independent, and again, it's optional. It shows so much about yourself. You've taken it upon yourself to do the extra studying, and also the knowledge and skills you gain from university is so transferable to the working environment. And having a degree in a subject area can give you a wider choice of careers. So for me, I chose business because, one, it was something I'm very passionate about, and because it's so broad, it opens so many doors for me in the future. So I know that I've got a lot of options in the career destination I want to get into. But if your career aims is something specific, like if you want to be a vet, or if you want to be a dentist, then you'll have to study specific to your career goals. So just make sure, again, you're studying something you're very passionate about, because don't just go to university. Don't just study a degree because you think, yeah, this is going to get me a good job. Do it because you're passionate about it. So having a degree makes you more employable. So the graduate employment rate is 87.7% in comparison to the non-graduate employment rate, which is 71.6%. So this again just shows you how beneficial having a degree is, and how far it can take you in your career. So if you're unsure about going to university, I'm telling you now, still apply. You're in the perfect position now. You still got a support system. You still got your teachers to help you, and you still got people in your school, in your college, where they're going through the same procedure as you. They're all applying for university. They're all writing up their personal statement. And you might get to a later date where you think, oh, I want to go to university now. But if you've done it now, it is so much easier. And if you don't want to go to university, but you still applied, you don't have to go. You're not forced to go to university, but you still got an option. And likewise, if come summer, you think, I'm not quite ready yet, you can take a year out, you just defer your choice. So that means you can go to university a year later, or you can just cancel your application altogether. But it makes it so much easier if you apply now rather than later. So having a degree as well, there's more benefits. The average graduate earns 10,000 more per year than the average non-graduate. So this again just shows you how beneficial having a degree is. So I know I've said this continuously, but please make sure you study something you're passionate about. From my experience, I know how important it is to study something that you really, really care about, because you're spending so much time studying by yourself, and you have to have that drive to want to learn more. And if you're not studying something you're passionate about, you're not going to really want to do it, one. And two, you might not be producing the work which you're fully capable of. So just make sure you're studying something you're passionate about. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, please ask in the chat box and I'll be happy to help. This can be about this presentation, but it can be about university in general, and I'll be happy to take your questions.